Good morning, everybody. It's Betty. I am here in Fraser Park in just a beautiful, beautiful spot. And I'm here with my brothers, Fernando and Carlos and Ricky. Ricky came down from Northern California, and I've been reading and studying and reminiscing and spending quality time. And as I am going through day 10 of the Vipassana silent meditation, it's been really interesting. Hey, Carlos. Hey, Debbie. It's been really interesting to see about the meditation. And of course, as usual, I took some notes. I want to make sure this doesn't fall, but I took quite a bit of notes. So I'm going to go through a lot today. And so if you could just grab a piece of paper, because I'm going to go through a lot, and I really don't want to take more than 30 minutes, which I usually take to go through the entire 10 days of the silent meditation. So it is a lot. And in the silent meditation, hey Eddie, and in the silent meditation learnings, I'm going to go through what I have gotten, I think in the last 2 weeks especially, and hopefully my brothers are, one of them is studying and the other one is taking a shower, and the other one is probably talking to his wife. So they're all inside, but maybe some of them will come out as I'm talking to you. Hey Debbie, thank you so much. So today is action-packed. There's a lot to share, because in the day 10 discourse, there was a summary of everything we learned. So I'm going to give you a summary, but there are 10 mental qualities that they talked about in day 9 that because I got so engulfed in everything that was going on last week, I chose not to go through those 10 because it was too much. So I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start with those 10 mental qualities that are really necessary for us to purify our mind and to go to a deeper level. And hey, Iman. So if you could write these or take some notes, or maybe come back to the video afterwards, because these 10 mental qualities are really, really important as we take a look at our life in general. So I'm going to start with those, and then I'm going to go back and give a summary of the 10-day silent meditation, a quick summary, because I've gone so deep into that. The 10 mental qualities are just really, really important. So the first one is renunciation. So as we took a look at being in hey Myrna. So as we took a look at being in silent meditation for 10 days, the first thing that we did was we renounced. And what they said was, living like a monk or living like a nun, you get rid of your personal possessions, right? Because you come in and you live out of the charity of others. They don't charge anything. People volunteer to make the food and that sort of thing. So it's all renunciation and getting rid of our ego and getting rid of the things. When we earn money, the more money we earn, the higher the status we get in the world and in our minds, in our church, in our jobs, in our society, and even in our families. People look at us differently when we're earning more money. So it's an opportunity, the 10 days is an opportunity for us to just show up as ourselves. I showed up as Betty. I wasn't doctor anything. I wasn't executive anything. I didn't have a title. It was just me. And how wonderful it is to just show up as ourselves and not have to be somebody, not have to show up as someone. And maybe that's why vacation is so wonderful. When you go out on vacation, hey Bill, when you go out on vacation, you go out and you are out at dinner and you meet people, and you don't meet the doctor this, or you don't meet the title this. It's just you just being yourself. So that's renunciation. The second mental quality is morality. we had to vow some things. The vow of noble silence. And the silence was there so that we wouldn't compare ourselves to other people, which we do in life. And when we start comparing ourselves to other people, and I'm going to be talking at the Los Angeles Business Journal Business Women's event to about 1,000 women on Friday, this coming Friday. One of the things I'm going to talk about is not comparing ourselves to other people, to men, to women, to whoever it is. And so the vow of silence was just so deep. And people ask me, I was talking to somebody just yesterday, a wonderful person, and she was saying, how in the world were you able to stay silent for 10 days? And for me, it was wonderful. So the vow of silence. Sexual misconduct, not having sexual misconduct, not lying, and that's something that has stayed with me, and looking and seeking the truth. And I found that with my brother yesterday, we were driving here to Fraser Park, and this is just a beautiful area. If I can show you a little bit of the area, look at that. It's just absolutely stunningly beautiful. And as we were driving up here, we were talking about my brother and the fact that the truth is my brother's dying, and the truth is he wants to know what's going on. And I had a family member that was really upset because we told my brother that he was dying, and we were discussing that on our way here. And he wants to know the truth, just like you would want to know the truth. And some of us don't want to know the truth. Some of us just want to live in a life of fantasy and live in a life of whatever is going to be, and then be completely surprised in having truth, in not lying. The other promise was not to kill anything, not even an ant. And I was just looking at an ant walking here in the balcony, and not even killing an ant. Hey, Juan. And not stealing anything. So even a clipboard or a paper clip or whatever. Anyway, so those were the morality was number 2. Number 3 was effort, and remaining aware and remaining equanimous. Remaining aware of the things that are going on. Remember the breath, and that's how we started, was being aware of the breath coming in and coming out, and being aware of reality, the way reality really is. Good morning, Yoli. And being aware and having effort to staying aware. Remember, we meditated for about an hour, except for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We meditated from 4:30 in the morning to 9 p.m. And so that takes effort to be concentrated for that long. And the idea was to get the mind to be so incredibly focused, so laser-like focused, that you get out of the impurities of the mind. So effort. Number 4, so number 1, renunciation. Number 2, morality. Number 3, effort. Number 4 was wisdom. But not wisdom, the kind of wisdom you get from a book, but really the wisdom that you get from understanding that develops within oneself. So the observing the impermanence. If a feeling comes or a thought comes, realizing that that thought is coming and observing the thought as it just kind of leaves, realizing that everything and everyone in life is impermanent. And that realization that just sinks in when we realize that physical things that we have in our life are not permanent. Also, fleeting thoughts that come. And if we have something, I had an experience yesterday that was a beautiful experience with an employee. I had an opportunity to have a difficult conversation with someone about a week ago, and they took something I said, and they took it with their own perception and their own baggage and their own life, and they took it in a certain way. And then I thought, okay, I need to talk to this person again. And I was just so blessed that I've developed some really good trust with this person. So they told me, this is how I interpreted it, and I just want to be blunt and honest with you. And I was just so grateful that this person said, I want to tell you the truth. I want to tell you exactly how I took this. Good morning, Nubia. And And so I got to talk to this person again recently, and this week I said, in coming back to this person and saying, look, this isn't gonna be forever. This is only just right now as you continue to progress, and this is the way it is. And we had just a beautiful conversation, and it was just, again, realizing the impermanence of things and realizing that things are here but not to stay. And so when we realize that things are here not to stay forever, then there is a freedom that happens, and then there is a sense that lifts all of the pressure out, because we know that it isn't here forever. Like when we go on vacation, we try to squeeze every inch out of that vacation, because we know we're not going to be there forever. I know I'm not going to be in this beautiful place up in the mountains forever, and my brothers aren't going to be with me forever. And so we're going to squeeze, so we squeezed every inch out of our evening. I stayed up till about 2:30, and the boys stayed up longer and messing around and monkeying around. And how wonderful it is that we could actually realize the impermanence of life and the impermanence of people in our lives, so that because we realize that they're impermanent, then and only then can we not take them for granted, not take advantage of them, and take them for who they are, and explore every inch and explore the beauty of that person, and really focus on the right things, and rather than focus on the negative things, focus on the positive things. So wisdom and observing the impermanence of things. So 1, renunciation; 2, morality; 3, effort; 4, wisdom; 5, and I'm reading from my notes that I took this morning, tolerance. Living in a group of people, there were 70 of us, about half men, half women. There was an opportunity to get irritated or to get disturbed. There was a time, if it was 4:30 in the morning and somebody was walking in and they were walking in late, then you have your eyes closed, you're sitting down, you're meditating, but you hear the person coming in. This morning as I was studying, and I had my earphones on because I was listening to the discourse, and at the same time I was researching on my computer, and my brothers came in, and just staying focused and not realizing that, okay, they're coming in. Do I say hi? I want to say hi, but I really want to study. I really want to get every inch of this, because I really want to squeeze every piece of wisdom and give it away freely to all of you, just like I received it freely. And so all of that. So in this time, the idea of being irritated or being disturbed gave us an opportunity to really observe that irritation, observe that disturbance when you are managing a group of people and they disturb you or they irritate you. And to say, yesterday I was talking to one of my leaders, one of my senior managers, and he said, I bet you we just drive you crazy, don't we? And I said, well, I think we drive each other crazy, but in a really good way. And we could laugh about it. And because we love each other, because we trust each other, because we've gotten to a place where we know where each other is coming from, and we know that we want the best for each other. And so when they give me feedback on how I'm being, or when they give me feedback on how they are reacting to something that I'm giving to them, they see that it's just the reaction. And they see, it was really funny because I started to take something personal yesterday, and this individual says to me, no, this is just a conversation. We're just having conversation, and I'm just telling you how I'm feeling. And how wonderful it is to be able to live in this space of equanimity. How wonderful it is to be able to live in this space where we could just listen to the birds and not judge, but just observe people just for who they are. So the tolerance piece is huge when we're talking about speaking to people and understanding. I see the tolerance in my brother, in Fernando. as we were getting out of the car last night, as we came here to the cabin, he couldn't, impermanence of life, Iman. He couldn't get out by himself. So he just sat there and waited. And I had just left work. They picked me up at work, so I had a dress. So here I am in a cabin, and I had a dress and heels and coming out. And so I had to take my heels off and come back and get him. And he just sat there, and he never, ever, ever complains. I know that he's feeling the pressure of the tumor in his head. I know that he can't see as well as he could before. I know that he gets the imbalance in his body. I know. And yet when I ask him, how are you feeling? What's going on in your mind? No, I'm fine. I'm just so grateful. And he's living in this gratitude, this space of gratitude. And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute, because it's part of those 10 mental qualities that they talked about. And how wonderful if we could get to a place where we live in gratitude 100% of the time. Gratitude for the disagreements, gratitude for the opportunity to stretch during the disagreements and to really understand somebody else's point of view and maybe understand where we maybe are wrong or where we are wronging someone else. So then it's tolerance is 5. Truth is number 6, and that's a big one. At first, you think of this truth and these promises of morality that you made at the beginning of the 10-day silent meditation, and it's to speak the truth, and then you go deeper into what truth is. And I've got to tell you that in the last 2 weeks, now I've been gone from the 10-day silent meditation now for 12 weeks, because it's taken me 12 weeks to do 10 days worth. I missed 2 weeks because I was out of town. And so it's been 12 weeks. And in the last couple of weeks, I have stopped doing some things that I was doing before because they weren't good for me. And because I wanted to live in truth. And so the truth goes deeper, and it begins to get into, hey Jana, it begins to get into a deeper level of truth, and not just truth with others, but truth with ourselves. And again, back to my keynote next week, and I'm going to talk about being truthful to ourselves and being able to respect ourselves. If we say, I'm not going to tolerate this, then why do we continue to tolerate it? If we say, I'm not going to allow someone to treat me, fill in the blanks, why do we continue to allow someone to treat us, fill in the blanks? Hey, Robbie. And so truth is a big thing. At first, it's gross truth. And in the meditation, we start looking at the gross truth of the body, feeling the sensations of the body or the gross sensations of the body, or maybe it's something negative and then something positive that you feel, and it feels really good. And then you go into the subtler truth. So you start focusing on smaller areas of the body and really seeing those areas of the body. And then you go into the deepest truth. And one of the things they said is there is no room for imagination. And I wrote that down and I circled it, because in the deepest truth, there is no room for imagination. So it isn't, I saw this or I imagined. It isn't, I made up about this. It is just listening and observing. And if we don't understand, then asking for clarification rather than making up things in our mind or having something in our imagination. There is no room for imagination when we're really taking a look at truth. That's very deep. And golly, we could go for a whole day just on that. And then number 7, so number 1, renunciation, 2, morality, 3, effort, 4, wisdom, but it's the understanding and developing that happens, the wisdom within ourselves. Tolerance is 5, 6 is truth, 7 is strong determination. Boy, can I identify with that in my life, is the times, and I'm sure you can identify with strong determination also. Think about the time you wanted to do something so badly that you wouldn't let anything stand in the way from where you were and where you wanted to go. You could just envision, you could just had a clear vision of where you wanted to go, and then you just had this determination that got you there. I'm reminded of my friend Dominica in Washington D.C. that has had just such a strong determination to get the Congressional Hispanic Caucus to be a wonderful place of truth and a wonderful place of making a difference. So for us in the course, it was to complete the course, to have the noble silence, and yes, we were silent for 10 days, meditating without opening the eyes, the hands, or the legs, and all of these things that really took strong determination. Number 8 was selfless love. And this is something that I came into when I did some trainings a long time ago with my brother Carlos, and he now owns a company called Compass Trainings, and he teaches these trainings and makes a huge difference in the world through them there in Orange County. And the selfless love was one of the biggest insights I got from that, and it was giving at a deepest level, giving unconditionally without expecting absolutely anything in return, and loving someone unconditionally. And if you think about, we love someone as long as they love us. We love someone as long as they do something for us. We love someone as long as we get something back. But really loving, how about giving to someone that is a complete stranger? My friend Julius from thank you, Yoli. My friend Julius, he was a senior vice president, or is a senior vice president at Comerica Bank, and we used to work together, and he used to lead all of Northern California for me, and we talk all the time, and he still does this. And when he and his family, if they see somebody from the military and they're having dinner or something, he will quietly pay for their dinner and not even tell them, or he will quietly pay for their meal. Rick, a friend of mine, pays for their meal at Christmas, and someone that's looking for food stamps in their pocket to pay for a meal, he will pay for it without even expecting anything in return. That is true giving, is giving without expecting anything in return, and that's true selfless love. Rosanna, oh my gosh, how are you? Without expecting absolutely anything in return. That is what they call real love, is really wishing happiness for others that we don't even know. I remember collecting 3,000 letters from kids here in the United States, and then Juan Carlos and I flew down to China, and we gave them to the kids in China, to Sichuan. We didn't know the kids, and the kids here didn't know the kids there, but kids, even the Bible says you have to become as a child to enter the kingdom of heaven. And if you think about the wisdom of that, a child will give unconditionally. Alexandria, my daughter, when she was little, she would take you into her room, and then you would say, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful teddy bear. And she would say, this is my favorite teddy bear. Here, take it. And people would say, I can't take that. That's your favorite. And I would say, please take it. This is her way of loving you. She would just give you her very best. What would it be like if we just gave our very best to everyone we come around, that we come in touch with, that we gave our very best? And I see my brother Fernando giving his very best today. And I think my brother Carlos talks about the 2x4s in life. When we get to these 2x4s in life, either facing death or having a loved one be in the hospital. My brother's wife, her son is in the hospital, or was in the hospital last night. And giving your very best at that moment, when you really want to take, and yet you're giving, and giving this selfless love, is so touching for me, and it's so profound for me, that the selfless love and the thought of selfless love is something that I will carry for the rest of my life, is how can we give even when we want to receive, even when we're hurting? And how is it that my brother Fernando can actually be in the midst of facing something like death and giving his very best every single moment of every single day is something to be really truly respected. That's number 8. Hey Sylvia and Jake. Then number 9 is equanimity, and it's the ability to watch things objectively. And so equanimity, going from observing the gross unpleasant sensations to the subtle pleasant sensations. And if I look down, it's because I'm looking at my notebook and in my notes. And remaining detached and remaining equanimous to those sensations. So if I'm feeling pain, not making the pain be who I am and not embodying the pain, but instead observing the pain as it comes and observing it as it passes, and realizing that this pain is going to come and it's going to pass, and really being able to observe it objectively and seeing it for what it is. I was interviewing someone this week, and you know the times when you interview people and you just know that they're just perfectly fit for the part in everything. Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book called Blink, and in the book it talks about when you have a blink moment, and I call it, my employees and I call it a blink moment, when you just know, because everything in your body just knows that this is the right person for this job, and that happened this week. But you observe them, and you observe everything. You don't get attached to, I really like that person. The moment you get attached, you lose your objectivity. It's not any different than in martial arts. When my little brother Carlos was learning martial arts, I remember he used to observe the person coming in and using that same force and then giving that same force back to them. And so when we're able to do that, rather than get scared or get focused on protecting yourself, but just observing it coming and then seeing it and utilizing that same thing going back, it's just a beautiful thing. You keep objective and you stay objective, and then you're able to see things coming when you stay objective. And I see that in crisis intervention, in crisis situations. And when I did crisis intervention counseling many years ago for domestic violence, sexual assault, suicide, and child abuse, that's what we were taught. In a moment of crisis, slow everything down, anchor yourself, and observe things coming so that you can stay objective, and then you can give your very best when we stay objective. And then the last thing was charity and donation. When we generate money just for ourselves, we develop an attachment to the money. And you've heard about people living in scarcity and people living in abundance. The people that are living in scarcity are the people that are generating money for themselves, and they get this attachment, they generate this attachment that increases the ego, because now it's about how much I have, how many physical things I have, and my title, and the type of car I have, and whatever. Well, when we come to the end of life, we don't focus on those things. I'm seeing my brother, and that's the least of his worries. What he's focusing on are moments. What he's focusing on are how can he generate, how can he give. In his radio show with Josefa Salinas, that's what he focuses on, is how can I give to the biggest number of people around the world? How can I impart the wisdom that I'm being given? And so think about that. So the charity and the donation, instead of generating for ourselves, what about, that's why they talk about giving a percentage of what you make to others, and it's in the Bible, and people talk about it. People that do workshops on money, they talk about this. Why? Because when we give to others, we take away that attachment to money, and then it becomes helping others, and then you go deeper into helping others by helping others learn, which takes me to why I'm doing these Saturday morning posts. So it's now been 30 minutes, and I'm going to keep it to these 30 minutes. So the day 10, and I'm going to do a day 11 because we did stay for one more day. So next week I'll come back. Yeah, I'm so glad, Carlos. I'm so glad. So these are the 10 mental qualities. So let me just go through the 10 of them really quickly. 1, renunciation. 2, morality. 3, effort. 4, wisdom. 5, tolerance. 6, truth. 7, strong determination. 8, selfless love. 9, equanimity or objectivity. And then 10 is charity or donation. These were the 10 mental qualities that it requires to really purify your mind and to really come to a place that is pure at the deepest level. And, you know, we're human beings. We're going to have feelings. We're going to have thoughts. We're going to have fleeting thoughts. But as long as we understand that the fleeting thoughts are fleeting and we don't develop craving to something and hold on to it, or we don't develop aversion and try to stay away from it, because when we do either or, we lose our objectivity and we lose our equanimity and we lose our balance, and it gets us to a place where maybe we're not objective and we're not able to really and truly live life for what it is. They talked about Dhamma, and Dhamma is to live a proper life and to live, and I love this term noble, to live a noble-hearted life. Yesterday, as we were driving up, my little brother Carlos was talking about the man with a perfect heart. And I would almost call it the man with a noble heart. And it's that man who, or woman, who is able to give of their heart freely. And yes, it's going to get broken. And maybe we have a little part of somebody else's heart that they gave to us. And maybe at the end of the day, our heart is not perfect, like a metal heart. But our heart becomes perfect because it is so imperfect, and because we're okay with being imperfect. So I'm going to leave you with that for today, and then I'll come back next Saturday and talk a little more. So I'm here in Fraser Park with my brothers. It's just a beautiful place, and I want to show you the place. And my brothers are either studying inside or taking a shower, and it's still early in the morning for them because we had, look at that. Isn't that just beautiful? It's just absolutely beautiful. There's my computer and my notes. Yes, my notes. And then that's it. So have a super fantastic weekend. Tomorrow is Father's Day, and I was pondering on the fact that my brothers and I are spending Father's Day together, and Fernando has been like a father to us. And how wonderful that we get to spend Father's Day together and celebrating, you know, the father figure in our lives has been Fernando. And there have been others like Uncle Ivan and like, you know, Jorge Molina for me, and different people in my life that have played that role. But the permanence of when we came to this country and being able to be with him, it's a wonderful day. Chester, hey, you just joined. Hopefully you can watch, because there's a lot of wisdom here. So I wish you all a happy Father's Day. I wish you fathers a wonderful Father's Day, and get that moment and take that moment, and whether you're a father or not, whether you're a father or a mother or a son or a daughter, we have a Father above, and let's let's just celebrate and stop and take the moment and take these lessons of life and give them freely, just like we are given them freely. Freely ye receive, freely give, and that's the mantra for Pepperdine University. And I keep bringing that up because it is my mantra also. Blessings to all of you. Have a super fantastic weekend. And if I have an opportunity to come back with my brothers, I will. Love you all. I will talk to you soon. Bye now.